Alright, hello. My name is Ellie Whitfield, and if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, please, when you see me on Sunday, or if I see you and I don't know your name, expect a hello and a 6 feet apart hug or handshake. But yes, I just completed my internship here at Texas Tech, and it has been an honor. You've had the opportunity to hear from the other two interns, Josh and Ronald, talking about our 3 R's, and it's been wonderful. It's been so awesome. And yeah, it's been so fun getting to know them better, to learn how to be real brothers and sisters in Christ. And it's been so fun getting to know them better. So if you don't know them better, make sure that you get to do that because they are a pleasure. And yes, I'm staying for another year here in Lubbock, Texas. It has quickly become home. I've only called one other place home, and that is San Antonio, Texas, where I was born and raised by a family who loves the Lord dearly. And I remember waking up in the mornings for school or for church and hearing my parents blasting K-Love, which is like our KSBJ. I don't actually know what's up here. I don't know if it's K-Love or KSBJ, but anyway, the Christian music station for the radio. And I remember going downstairs in the morning, seeing my parents' Bibles laid out. I remember hearing them pray over us at night, and I just remember thinking how wonderful that was. And it wasn't until I left home and had gone through so many different things, so many different choices that I made that were good and maybe some not so good, until I realized that my relationship with the Lord was separate from my parents. And that's what I think college is about. People say that college is about finding yourself, and I think that in the secular world, that could be very bad. Finding yourself, doing whatever makes you happy, all that jazz. But I truly think that the time that we spend in our 20s and even beyond of just learning who we are in the Lord, who we are as an individual, who we are in a group, where we belong. And luckily for me, I had a strong group of people surrounding me, showing me that I was a beloved of the Lord. And that's how I became a part of Chi Alpha. I was a student at Sam Houston State down in Huntsville, Texas, where a majority of Texas Tech's Chi Alpha staff is from. And they knew me when I was a little girl, the little 18-year-old freshman who was so excited about what the future could hold. And I thought it would be in the career field of dance and making a name for myself and filling, I don't know, my time with things that were not of use. And little did I know the Lord had other plans, that it would be filled with learning more about who He is and who I am because of Him. My life has not been the same since I have been a part of Chi Alpha, and it's a privilege to be able to give back to the ministry and ultimately give back to the Lord what has been done for me, having people fight for me and say, there's more for you. Don't choose this silly and selfish thing. There's more for you. And it's an honor to be able to be here. And whenever I graduated from Sam Houston with a degree in sociology and a minor in dance, I had a very broad field of what I could do. And I decided that pursuing what the Lord I knew was calling me to, instead of choosing what my degree said that I had or what I think my parents would want me to do, was more important, obviously. And so that's how I'm here. And it's been a wonderful year, and I cannot wait to see what the Lord does in this other school year coming up. It's going to be different. We don't know what campus will look like. Will campus go back to normal? Will there be new precautions and things that aren't what we would normally see as campus ministry? I remember driving home a day after, I think it was back in March, right before spring break. I was driving to San Antonio to see my family and take care of some doctor's appointments before all this COVID stuff blew up. And I remember crying on the phone to my mom, saying that I didn't want to leave Lubbock because I felt like if I was leaving, then I would be leaving something behind, which is so silly. And my mom was like, why would you even think that? And I said, Mom, I don't know what my job was going to look like. The Lord has called us to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and how am I supposed to even do this job without being able to go physically be the hands and feet of Jesus? And my mom so graciously reminded me that that can be done in any way, and the Lord is shaping a new kind of generation and a new type of ministry that can be done. Never have we ever before had so much technology at our fingertips, and never have people been so desperate for some sort of connection, some sort of hope. And so many ministries, I'm sure you've seen in churches all over the world, even have things online for people to be plugged into and find that hope, which I think is really exciting. So, anyway, here I am talking now about real devotion, which is the privilege that I've had. Like I said before, I saw how my parents raised me, and little did I know until I got to college that real devotion, a real relationship with the Lord, could be my own thing. It doesn't have to be an umbrella of sorts for my parents, which is really cool. It's really scary and daunting because my mind has been filled with questions like, am I doing it right? Is this wrong? Should I be doing it this way instead? And I think the Lord is just excited when we desire to spend time with Him. And so you've heard about real relationship, real responsibility, and real devotion. And I think that this is probably my most favorite, which is, of course, I think all three of us interns picked the one that most dear to us, and something that the Lord has just done for us. And man, in this crazy time of quarantine, I realized how much more time I could spend abiding with the Lord. And I think it's very simple. It doesn't have to look like spending time in the Word. It doesn't have to look like listening to worship music 24/7. It doesn't have to look like you're on your knees constantly. All very good things, and all things that we should be doing. But yeah, I'm ready to talk about it. I hope that my point of a life with Jesus is not easier, but better, is made today in sharing this. So, for me, even before COVID, definitely before COVID, I found myself saying, like, I don't have enough time to do X, Y, and Z. I don't have enough time to read the books that I want to. I don't have enough time to listen to that podcast or read as much as I would like to in my Bible, because especially when I was an undergrad, there's homework, there's lectures that I have to listen to, there's things that I have to do to prepare for this. And I think that even me saying, oh, I'm going to pray for this friend would even get put on the back burner, which made me start to think that maybe if it was reversed, if instead of me putting the things that I was worried about on the back burner, instead of putting my relationship with the Lord on the back burner, maybe I wouldn't be worried about those things. And yeah, I think that's pretty simple. It's simple to say, maybe simple to even understand, but simple to do is not always the easiest thing. If I truly took my worries to the feet of Jesus and allowed Him to be the Lord of my life and really take control of those situations, my main priority would be what I'm doing with Jesus, not what can Jesus do for me, not, oh, I need to pray more in this moment because I need the Lord to come through in some shape or another, you know. One of my friends here in Lubbock, Kelsey Tackett, she is a sweet, sweet friend. She shared a few months ago that the Lord shouldn't just be our main focus, but the Lord should be our only focus. And from that, everything else will funnel through. If the Lord is our main focus, then we have a second focus, a third focus, fourth, etc. And there's other things that could potentially fight for the place of number one, right? And so if we have the Lord as our main priority, then that would not happen. If the Lord was just the number one, the one and only, then we would have everything else funnel through Him. Wisdom, peace, the discernment to walk away from something, the discernment of how to react in a conflicting moment, all of those things, which I think is really exciting. When I was a small group leader at Sam Houston, I was so quick to tell my friends that you can spend time with the Lord wherever and whenever. I would say that they could spend time with the Lord in prayer as they're walking to class. Sam's campus is pretty small. You could get anywhere in 7 minutes. You don't have to take a bus. Picture that. Tech is huge. Okay, tangent over. Yeah, and you could even tell Him what's on your heart, or ask the Lord what's on His heart as you're making your lunch. And I was even as risky to say that you could even talk to Jesus while you're peeing on the toilet. And I would get laughs every time, and even a couple of ewes. But man, the Lord wants us in every moment of every day. We don't have to clean ourselves up. We don't have to take a step back and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't bring this to the Lord. If we think it's too small, it's not. If we think it's too big, it's not. He wants the mundane, the exciting, the fearful things, the everything. He wants it all. And I think as believers, it's safe to say that we all know this, but we don't all act this out. I definitely know that I don't. So it's okay. I've turned my days into a revolvement of spending time with the Lord. So in the morning, it's worship music while I'm making my bed and washing my face and doing all of those things, making my coffee. And then it's a couple hours, if I can, because I'm single and I don't have any children. I don't have to run around and do a bunch of things, especially right now in all of this unprecedented time. So, parents, you're my heroes because, yes. But, yeah, just like allowing there to be a constant time with the Lord. It doesn't have to just be an hour in the morning, which if that's all that you can do, like physically with your word and with worship music, maybe even in prayer with friends, then that's wonderful. That's beautiful. And the Lord is appreciative of it. But like I said, it can be talking to Him as you're driving. It can be turning on a podcast that you listen to maybe all throughout your week as you're getting in and out of the car, going through carpool lanes, going through and dropping off kids at different extracurriculars or running errands or whatever your life looks like, whatever season it's in. There are ways to accommodate our time with the Lord, and I think that is something that allows us to be creative and full of wonder, childlike, wide-eyed, all of those things. Many times we seek the Lord in selfish motives. We turn to Him when it's easy to say, oh, yes, this seems like I need the Lord in this, or my only way out is going to be from talking with the Lord. And like my hero in faith, one of my favorite authors and just women of God, Corrie ten Boom, says that prayer, spending time with the Lord, abiding is not a spare tire. It's not just to come out of emergencies or when you're in a pickle. It's the steering wheel. It takes you where you need to go. It directs your time with the Lord. It directs your time. Well, obviously it directs your time with the Lord, but it directs your day, your weeks, your months, even steps that you should take in faith, things that you should say, no, this is not what the Lord has for me. It directs everything. It's not just something that we should use when we feel like we are all out of other options, we of course can turn to the Lord in those moments, but it shouldn't be I haven't talked to you in a long time, Lord, but now I need something from you. He's not a genie. And I think that is something that I thought the Lord as back when I was in high school and growing up. I saw the Lord as my parents' God and as somebody who would just be there whenever I needed to make that dance team or get that boy to pay attention to me or not fail a math test, when everything I could have been doing to better myself and grow closer to the Lord, I was avoiding because it's hard work. Just like any good relationship we're in. And I don't know about y'all, but anytime I try to make things happen the way that I want them to happen, anytime I try to take control in a situation, I end up more disappointed and end up with more things to clean up. And it definitely doesn't turn out the way that I expect it to. But when I allow the Lord to do something and to take control and continue to surrender things to Him, it turns out better than I could have ever imagined. Every time. I don't know how. I don't know why. But the Lord is so good. So good. And in John 15:5, it says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. From apart from me, you can do nothing. So, it's not apart from me, you can do some things. Apart from me, you can pay your taxes. Apart from me, you can get into that college you want. Apart from me, you can retire when you want to. Apart from me, you're yada, yada, yada. All of the things. You can do some things. You can do one thing. You can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And I think that's something that we need to remember, not just as Christians, that we are living in the 21st century. We are living in America. We're living in a culture that's very individualistic. We're living in a culture that's very self-dependent because society has told us that it's hard to trust people, which, sure, maybe. But that doesn't discount that the Lord wants so much to be a part of our lives and to really understand, really wants us to understand that He is good and that when we abide in Him, when we spend time with Him, when we take things to Him, no matter the scale of what is good and what is bad, or what we deem as good and bad, right? He wants to be a part of it. And I'm really grateful for that. But if something as essential as drinking from the source of living water, why is it the most difficult part of our lives sometimes? We get caught up in self. We get caught up in comfort. Like I was saying, we're in a culture of individualistic things and people. It's about me. It's about what can I get from this. When people want to do something, it's what can I get from it? What can you give me in return? And not silly. So silly. He wants to give us fruit. The Lord wants to give us a deeper relationship with Him. He wants to give us stability, holy desires, and I think it's time that we let the God of the universe do so. Earlier today, I was listening to a podcast by a couple that I really love. They live down in Hawaii with their children, and they have 3 cute little babies. And their names are Jefferson and Alyssa Bethick, I believe is how you pronounce their last name. He is a wonderful author and just a really wonderful preacher. I don't think he's an evangelist. I believe I'm not sure, but you should look them up. They're wonderful. They have a podcast that they do, and today they're talking about how do you find true peace. So I clicked on it because I said, I want to know how you find true peace. Please tell me. And they talked about how so many times we turn to the Lord and we say, please give me peace, please give me hope, please give me love to extend, grace to extend, wisdom, all of these things. We go to the Lord asking for things, which is not bad. The Lord tells us, please ask of me. And what they said in return, Alyssa said, we don't need to be asking Jesus for those things. We need to be asking for more of Jesus, because Jesus is the peace and the love and the joy and the grace that we can have in our lives and extend to others. But if we ask for Jesus, he is all of those things. And when he is with us, we have those things. And that just kind of rocked my world a little bit. I was honestly just, yeah, it was really good. It was a really sober-minded moment of just, man, Jesus, you are all that I need. You are everything that I want and more. And I'm so grateful for it. So here are a couple of things that we can do. And maybe it might seem silly having a 23-year-old reminding much more adultish type people how we can spend time with Jesus, but these are reminders that I give myself consistently. So hopefully they're encouraging and just a simple reminder for you as well. But we can spend time with God. So simple. So don't snooze your alarm. Don't allow the last thing you look at night to be Facebook or your daughter's Instagram or whatever else you use electronically. Let the last thing you look at night be your Bible, whether that's on your phone or a hard copy, or even allowing the last thing you do to be prayer, or just spending time with your spouse or your children. Don't binge that season on Netflix. We really do have so much time in our hands, but even now with things returning to normal, or normal as, we don't really know what normal is going to look like, but I think we can still allow there to be so much freedom in what we're doing. And this has allowed me, like I've shared, to be so creative in just the time and the ways that I'm spending time with the Lord. The other day, I made a creative journal. I made a journal of things that inspire me, of scripture that encourages me, of friends that I love and that speak life to me. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever done, and I just felt the Lord reminding me of and affirming all the things that I hear the enemy telling me so much of. I'm not good enough, I'm not wanted, I'm not appreciated. And the Lord was just showing me, like, I love you, so I give you this person. I love you, so I wrote this scripture. I love you. And yeah, well, this went on. It was wonderful. Bring people in with you. If you don't have a circle of accountability, whether it's a small group, a life group, friends that you are vulnerable with and hold accountable to, find those people. Ask the Lord to show you. And if you're nervous to talk to people and ask people for that, I encourage you to be brave and bold and seek out people here in our church that can walk alongside you and lead them in all of life's things. The Lord shows us things, and it's not just for us. Sometimes they are special things just for us, but typically the Lord always uses those to encourage someone else, and I think that is really cool. We aren't meant to do this alone, so please find community. Let there be excitement as you instill whatever new disciplines need to happen in your life. If you need to have your phone charged outside of your room at night, because the first thing you look at when you wake up is your phone, and the last thing you look at is your phone, maybe put your phone in another place. But also, again, I'm not a parent and I am single, so I don't have to have my phone by me for any urgent things for a child or a spouse. And so, obviously, accommodate that as you need. But not even just that. If there's a discipline of you need to set a timer for how much you should read, like your minimum or even your maximum, do that. It can be flexible for you. But let there be excitement, as this is something that the Lord wants to delight in with us. It shouldn't be a burden. It shouldn't be something that we drag our feet to do, to spend more time with Jesus. It should be a blessing in our day, a breath of fresh air. So imagine the amount of peace our hearts could be at if instead of doing the scrolling through social media, the watching all the Netflix, the gossiping with your friends, imagine if that time was spent in prayer and encouragement and abiding, reading, whatever. It would be insane. There would be accountability in your small groups, in your life groups, in your homes, in your community, in our church. And I really do challenge you to intimately spend time with the Lord before running to anyone else, but also really appreciate the people that the Lord's put in your life, because not everybody gets to do this, and it really is a blessing. And ultimately, we can surely ask the Lord for different ways to be creative and different ways to spend time with Him. And I'm grateful for a God that listens, and grateful for a God who encourages creativity, because it's definitely needed. But anyway, I have had a lot of fun learning more about devotion and more about what it looks like to abide with Jesus. So I hope this encourages you, and I cannot wait to see you all very soon.